What is happening, everybody? James Hancock here. It is a beautiful spring day here in New York, and I can't think of a better way to spend that than sitting in a dark room watching Ash vs. Evil Dead. I have to apologize in advance. My voice is completely destroyed today. About 2 days ago, I inhaled about 7 years worth of dust. I've been moving out of my old place into my new place, and I've been boxing up all my novels and my comics, my trade paperbacks, and that sort of thing, none of which had really been dusted in about 7 years' time, and my throat closed up so badly, and I had such an allergic reaction. I basically need like Ash with this damn chainsaw to like saw a hole in here just to help me breathe. But with only a few episodes left to go, I wasn't about to skip episode 6, Tales from the Rift. Since my last review of Ash vs. Evil Dead, I'm not aware of any new news regarding the future of this property, whether or not we'll get a season 4 or a movie or just retirement of the character. The website Bloody Disgusting's been doing a pretty good job of compiling every bit of news related to the show, whether it's behind the scenes featurette or interviews, etc. And I've seen nothing there, but if anyone else is aware of some news, definitely let me know. As far as this episode is concerned, I'm beginning to get a little bit tired of the kind of monster of the week, battle of the week format. It seems like this season in particular has been a little bit repetitive. However, the 2 fight scenes featured in this episode were so damn funny that I'm giving the show a pass this week. I feel like a little bit more variety, a little bit more plot, a little bit more lore might go a long way in creating more long-term viability for this show. But that is not the direction that I decided to go with this particular episode. So let's focus on what worked and keep our fingers crossed that over the next 4 episodes, they find a way to bring this story to a close in a really satisfactory way. Like with the previous episodes this season, this episode basically unfolds on 2 fronts. We have Kelly versus Ruby in this giant battle royale, with Kelly basically opening up the episode, blasting Ruby in the face repeatedly with a shotgun. It was a totally badass moment. It was a great way to start the episode off with a bang. I think Kelly is a total badass, and I was glad to see her finally take center stage as a weapon-wielding madwoman going up against the Dark Ones. And we almost get into borderline Evil Dead 2 territory in terms of the amount of damage that Kelly sustains, but just keeps going. I mean, her ankles dangling to the point where it's swinging back and forth like a pendulum. She's just getting absolutely wrecked. And we get this absolutely glorious special effect where Kelly takes out Ruby with a hand grenade, but because Ruby is immortal, when the smoke clears and the dust settles, we see Ruby basically stitching herself back together with all of her limbs and body parts crawling back together. I feel like while this season might be a little bit light on story, they've definitely gone all in on the special effects. And I don't think the budgets for these episodes are particularly high, but they are really giving us champagne for the price of beer when it comes to imaginative, clever, gory effects. Sadly, our Kelly does not prevail and gets taken out by the Kandarian dagger, which leads to Ruby basically using her body as a vessel so that her friend from the other side can possess her. For what end, we do not know, and for reasons that I do not fully understand, the possessed Kelly delivers the Kandarian dagger to Ash. What their goals and objectives may or may not be, who knows, but I definitely want to learn more about what's going on with little baby Ash, because as we saw at the beginning of the episode, there's this giant tarp, and it seems like the baby's almost in like a regenerative cocoon, or he's going through some sort of metamorphosis underneath there. But that's all the information we have in this particular episode, so we can't say more about that. But the other big storyline of this episode is when more of the wet blankets known as the Knights of Samaria arrive to meet with Ash. My opinion of the Knights of Samaria is pretty low in that they all seem to be incredibly boring and absolutely worthless in a fight. They all seem also really inexperienced with fighting the Dark Ones. So while they might have a cool sounding name, the Knights of Samaria are basically just a pack of hand jobs. But the flip side is that Brandy's finally becoming a character that I really enjoy. There's a great moment where Brandy and Ash are having a bonding session. Ash is popping a Shimp's beer and Brandy's making Pop-Tarts. And we have this great little humorous moment where Ash is like, oh my God, these are so much better toasted. Even when an episode is not the most imaginative from a story standpoint, Ash always just makes me crack up. But the Knights of Samaria talk about how Ruby once banished the Dark Ones and that they want to find a way to banish the Dark Ones permanently. And so they go down to the basement of the hardware store where that giant translation from the missing pages of the Necronomicon has been written. And Pablo realizes that when he touches them, he's actually able to open up this rift into not the past, not the future, but into the realm of the dead and the demons itself. One of the dumbass Knights of Samaria volunteers to go inside, and when he emerges, he's been very subtly altered. And at least it's some insanely cool special effects that are very reminiscent of James Gunn's film Slither and John Carpenter's The Thing. I always love alien monsters where just by them touching you, they basically join forces with you and you become a part of them or an extension of them, and you just become this increasingly grotesque, disgusting monster. I mean, the line at the end of James Gunn's Slither when somebody sees this enormous creature that Michael Rooker has become, and he's like, man, that is some fucked up shit. And it just sums up everything you feel while watching John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, as more and more people become just extensions of this horrible alien. But as we see with this particular demon or deadite, that whenever this creature touches something, he's able to basically make it an extension of himself, and it just turns into this giant tentacle, tooth-covered, disgusting, horrible creature. And we get this nice little battle royale where Pablo and Ash take this fucker down. Once again, as enjoyable as this battle sequence was, I do worry when I see a show like this falling into a Monster of the Week format. Granted, that it's a format that has worked for decades on TV, so I totally understand. But at a time where the fate of this franchise and of this character is uncertain, I was just really hoping for something a little bit more ambitious. Nonetheless, I still love tuning into the adventures of Ash Williams every week, and fingers crossed we'll have more adventures to come in the future. But if Bruce Campbell rides off into the sunset to smoke weed and hang out in his place in Oregon, he's totally earned it. But I think I'm actually going to wrap this video up. My throat, as you can tell, is just not working today. I'm having a very hard time completing a sentence without coughing or choking. But if anybody knows a good doctor in New York who can just take like a long needle and shove it in my throat and just clear all this up, I would be in your debt. But give me a shout if you hear anything about the future of this show. I'm definitely very keen to hear any news on that front. And if you enjoyed my recap and review, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And assuming that my ability to speak continues, I'll be back later on this evening. I'm going to do a season 1 recap of Counterpart, yet another Starz show. But I hope everyone's having a very happy Easter, and I'll talk to y'all soon.